Good morning, good morning, good morning. Forgive the lateness of the hour. I'm here now. It is Friday, the 16th of May, 2025. I'm Graham Hughes, and you are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social with our friends Liam Fairhurst. We've also got Leapshin in there. We've got Veg Pie, Simon M. We've got Jeff True and SG Gallifreyan Man, Witchy Goth, Martin Harrow, Diz, Saz. So many wonderful people. If you'd like to join our wonderful socialites in the chat here, all you need to do is hit that big juicy subscribe button and subscribe to the channel, and then you can opine. I say freely, but I don't really mean freely, because I mean, like, you can opine as long as you're not a dick about it. If you're a dick about it, we will block you. So don't be a dick. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Starmer's, kerfuffle yesterday with the old Albanian leader. So Starmer wants to deport failed asylum seekers to these so-called return hubs in third countries, inspired by the Tories' plan to do this, which failed miserably. Hurrah! The idea is to detain them in these hubs to prevent them absconding or gaming the system through delays like family formation or document loss. Starmer has refused to name the countries involved, saying only formal discussions are underway. Albania says absolutely not, and does it to his face. During a press conference, Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama publicly ruled out any deal with the UK, saying Albania is already partnered with Italy and won't do another one. Rama said, "We are loyal to the marriage with Italy. The rest is just love." Ouch. I'll cheat on them with you, but we're not getting married. The trip, which was meant to be a victory lap on immigration, ended up being a bit of an international slapdown for Starmer. This was Labour's Rwanda 2.0 moment, and it flopped. Despite Labour scrapping the Tories' Rwanda deportation scheme on the grounds of cost, cruelty, unworkability, general stupidity of it all, this is essentially a redux of that, like offshore processing in countries most asylum seekers have never stepped foot in. The Rwanda plan failed due to legal challenges, public backlash, and the Supreme Court in the UK ruling it unlawful. So why repackage the same idea? The logic behind return hubs is legally shaky at best, and it's morally murky, just in general. The plan targets those who have exhausted legal challenges, but forcibly detaining people in a third country where they have no ties opens up a human rights and legal minefield. The UNHCR has said that return hubs are only acceptable if they meet rights standards, but no country has been a successful model yet. Italy's return hubs in Albania are currently standing empty. This isn't a deterrent; it's a distraction. The idea that failed asylum seekers somehow a major logistical burden is not backed up by data. In reality, very few people are subject to removal at this stage, and most who come across the channel have found to have valid claims. Why would you get in a boat with your children over 30 miles of very, very choppy and dangerous freezing cold water in order to get somewhere if you weren't completely desperate? Spending millions on empty overseas detention centres is performative, and it's just not practical. Yeah, it's not the moral thing to do. Neither is it the economically sound thing to do. The boats won't stop unless we fix the front end of the system. People arrive by boat, I'm tired of saying this, because there is no safe or legal route to the UK unless you're Ukrainian or Afghan, maybe, or Hong Kong, Chinese, maybe. There's no embassy processing. There's no system in Calais. There's no Dublin-style returns deal with France or the EU. People are forced into these dangerous crossings because it's the only way they can claim asylum. That is the core issue. Return hubs are a solution to a fake problem. Labour's plan is full of holes and hypocrisy. Starmer called the Rwanda scheme unethical, but this achieves the same ends in a slightly less orange jumpsuity kind of way. Saying you want to deport claimants while refusing to fix the system that processes claims is like trying to drain a bath while leaving the taps on. It's headline-chasing populism designed to win over the Daily Mail, Gammon Box News, Incidentally, GB News was the only news outlet that went with Starmer over to Albania. Well, that worked, didn't it? Readers, Daily Mail readers and GB News readers, watchers, they won't vote Labour anyway. Like, what the hell? Albania was already a rare success story, and now that's poisoned under the Tories and then Albania and then Labour. You know, Albania cooperated on returning nationals. The channel crossings from Albania are down by over 90%. Starmer could have celebrated that. I mean, they're so shit. I just, articulating the win. I love that it took me a second to articulate the word articulate there. Hope you like that. Little Easter egg for you. Starmer could have celebrated that. And he didn't. You know, he turned up asking for more and he got rebuffed. That damages relations and undermines the only bits of Labour's migrant policy so far that was actually bloody working. Now look at the Rwanda plan. At least 300 million spent. 0 people deported. The Rwanda scheme, they never sent a single migrant there. Oh, thank you. Just been handed a coffee. Cheers. Okay, that's good. I hate it when I sit down to do the show and then I go, oh, I haven't got a coffee. Yeah, the Rwanda scheme, nearly £300 million, and they never sent a single migrant. They sent someone who like offered to go for like 10 grand or something. Like, I'll give you 10 grand and send you to Rwanda. Where you going? All right. Flights were blocked by the courts, and the UN and the Supreme Court declared it unlawful. Labour at the time, quite rightly, opposed it. Why are they resurrecting that same twisted logic now? The idea of offshoring asylum seekers is imported from Australia's terrible Pacific solution. Australia detained asylum seekers on Nauru and Manus Island for years, and the conditions were horrific. There were suicides, abuse, indefinite detention for people who had done nothing wrong. They had done nothing wrong. They had tried to get to Australia, usually from Indonesia, East Timor. They tried to get over to Australia in small boats. Sound familiar? For a better life, something that is legal. If you say, okay, guys, you can claim asylum in our country. Oh, cool. We can claim asylum. Cool. But you have to come here in a leaky, rickety little boat. What do you think people are going to do? Do you think they're going to go, okay, well, we won't come then? Or do you think people who are that desperate, who have had to leave their homes, leave their families, leave their village, leave their job, their car, their high-rise flat, whatever it is, or the house they live in, they've had to leave all that behind and go somewhere else where they don't know anyone, can't, might not have any family ties there, to hope for a better life for their children. A life where they're not waking up every morning wondering if they're actually going to die that day. That's no life. That's no life to live. And we've set up this system which says, okay, no, it's fine. You can come here and you can claim asylum. But in order to claim asylum, you have to prove that you really, really want to come here by putting your life in danger and the lives of your children in danger in a rickety little boat coming over the channel. Same thing in Australia. It's legal. It is legal to claim asylum. But we have made these rich countries around the world have made it so that it is very difficult to claim asylum because they say, oh, you're coming in and you've got to set foot on dry land and then you can claim asylum. And then when people do that, they say, oh, they're jumping the queue. There is no queue. If you're leaving Uganda because you're gay and you might be, I don't know, beaten to death by the police over there, and you go to Nairobi in Kenya and you go to the British High Commission there and you say, hey, can I claim asylum in Britain? They will say no. They say no to everybody. How do you get from there to the UK if you want to claim asylum? What is the method? Do you claim at the embassy? Do you download forms off the internet and pay some money and apply for asylum in the UK where you are? No. I'll tell you what you do. You have to travel up through Ethiopia and then try and get your way through Sudan, over the border, through the desert, the Sahara Desert into Egypt. You've got to get all the way up through Egypt. You've got to get to the Mediterranean, maybe cross over into Libya, Then you've got to get on a rickety boat over to Italy, perhaps. Then you've got to travel up through Italy. Then you've got to travel through France and then up to Calais. Then you've got to get on another rickety boat and then you've got to cross the channel and get here. That's the method. Imagine if you had to do like, I don't know, fucking Ninja Warrior UK, except it's a deadly assault course. A deadly assault course. And then you and your children can actually claim asylum in this country. That's the method. That's the plan. That's the system. That's the system we've set up for people. It's fucking monstrous and insane. Absolutely fucking sane. If I had my way, you would go to the embassy, you will get photographed, you will get your fingerprints taken, you'll get your iris scanned. They will give you a form. You pay some money because this can't be done for free because otherwise everyone would do it. So we make some money out of it. We say, right, this is a bit like applying for a visa to come here on holiday, which is what anyone in the world can do. Can I just stress this? Anyone in the world can apply for a visa to come to the UK. Anyone, right? I think there's no countries at the moment in which there's no way of applying for a visa if you're from that country. I might be wrong. There might be places like Iran and Somalia. I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, there is a process where you can at least apply for a visa to come here. And it's open to anyone, right? So just do that. But it's for asylum. And then we do the processing. It's paid for. It doesn't cost us anything. No, we're not having to put anyone up in a fucking hotel for 3 years. And then we say yes or no. If we say yes, they can jump on a flight and come over. If we say no, then sorry, your claim has been processed. We have said no, you can't come here. And then if someone turns up on a boat, we've got their fingerprints. We've got their iris scans. We know who they are. They're on the system. Sorry, we have already told you that you cannot come here. We've already looked at it and said, no, you are not a real asylum seeker for whatever reason. And then we can instantly deport them legally because we've already heard their case while they were living in another country. Well, we weren't having to have them here for 3 years in a hotel, making loads of money for the hotelier, who's probably a mate of the Tory MP who, put the system in place. Millions they're making out of taxpayers' money, putting people up in hotels. And for the people who are here, for the asylum seekers who are here, let them work. Let them freaking work. They're here, aren't they? What's the point of not letting them work? I really don't get it. I don't get it at all. Someone can explain it to me. I'm all ears. But this is something, and I'll come to this later, but this is something that really needs to be discussed when Starmer meets up with all the European leaders next week with this big summit and the resetting of EU relations. This is something that the whole of Europe should get together on. There should be a Europe-wide immigration policy where people can apply. They pay to apply because I'd rather they gave their money that they have to process their asylum claim rather than give it to the gangs of people smugglers who will kill you as much as look at you. If you really want to smash the gangs, there's a way of doing it. And this is the way. I mean, at the very least, we should have a processing centre set up in Calais with the ability to return people coming over in small boats to France, which is what we used to have before 2017 when no one was coming over in boats. The number of boat crossings was 0 because they knew that if they got caught coming over on a boat, we could legally take them back to France under the Dublin Agreement. And this model of deporting people to a third country who try and get into your country to claim asylum, it's notorious internationally for violating basic human rights. Return hubs look like a UK light version of this. Same cruelty, It's just a bit closer, because they're going to Southeast Europe rather than off to Central Africa. And Pineapple Boy, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. The foe arrives by private plane, not by dinghy. That is very true. If we're going to complain about immigrants, have a look at like what Elon Musk is doing and what's that horrible man's name? Rupert Murdoch. Who I haven't. The day hasn't happened yet, has it? Can't wait till it does. And Paul, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. This reeks of being pushed by a senior civil servant. It does indeed. It does indeed. Right, I'm just going to set a goal because I might chunder on. I'll do a bit more. Right, so I'm finishing at 10 today because obviously I've got a lot of shows today. But if you want me to do a bit more, I've set a goal. I've set a super chat goal. There you go. Put 50p in the idiot. I'll just keep talking. 3 EU nations are also tinkering with similar ideas, but none have worked. Italy's hubs in Albania are facing legal challenges and hasn't processed anyone yet. The Netherlands is in talks with Uganda for a hub, apparently, but legal and practical barriers are huge. France and Germany have rejected offshore processing entirely. The policy is a betrayal of Labour values. Labour used to champion humane, evidence-based immigration policy. This is just a less violent Tory cosplay designed to appeal to Gammon Box News, the Mail, the Express readers who call refugees illegals when they're not. The people who are illegally here are people who have outstayed their visa. And it's alienating the base, activists, volunteers and younger voters who back Labour in 2024 are visibly furious. Like, Labour, what the hell are you doing? You're going after trans people. You're going after disabled people. You're going after migrants. Why are you going after the very people that we've elected you to protect? You stupid bastards. So yeah, what can they do? They can reopen UK asylum processing in Calais. We had this pre-Brexit. We had this. People could claim asylum in the UK from the French side, which cooperated and prevented dangerous crossings. Reinstating this would offer a safe and legal route, making boat journeys unnecessary. No traffickers, no deaths, no political circus. Negotiate a new EU returns deal when we were in the EU, and we had the Dublin regulation. People could return to the first safe EU country that they passed through. The other countries in Europe are still signatories to this. We are not anymore because of Brexit. Brexit ended that. Labour could reopen negotiations, especially with France. Returns would be faster, legal, and far less chaotic than offshore jails, which is what they're proposing at the moment. They need to invest in fast, fair, and humane asylum decisions. And most of this so-called backlog was caused by Home Office incompetence, not by fraudulent claims. It was just Tory incompetence, just Tory shit, sort of Tory shit that we should be getting used to now, I guess. The photo arrives by night. Oh, I got that one. By plane, sorry. Isabella, thank you very much. Labour at this point are Tories and red ties. Isabella, I can't argue with that. I really can't. I'd love to. I'd love to say you're wrong. I'd love to say, no. But they seem to be carrying on Tory policies and carrying on Tory talking points and Tory sadism. Just, it's a different colour. And it's so much more disappointing because we expect this shit from the Tories, don't we? We expect this performative cruelty from the Tories, but we don't expect it from Labour. Well, at least I don't. It's not what I voted for by any stretch of the imagination. The good news is, when it comes to the PIP reform, that the over 100 MPs now are kicking back. And if, I think it's 86 MPs vote against something that Labour want to do, then it's not going to get through. So if 100 MPs threaten to backheel this horrific cut to PIP benefits, then that's dead in the water. That's dead in the water. Kirsty says not ordinary Tories either, the bad Enoch variety. Yeah. Amy says partially Labour still aren't selling the country off though. Yeah, I know, Amy, but the thing is, all the good things that Labour are doing are just getting ignored because of the shit things they're doing. Anything they're doing that is actually a benefit to the country is just like getting subsumed by the horror of the other shit they're doing. They need to fix the processing system. They need to fund it properly. They need to stop demonizing people fleeing war and persecution. They need to use alternatives to detention. Like, let people work. They're cheaper and more effective at ensuring compliance, Tackle the traffickers, not the victims. If you make it easy for asylum seekers to come here, easier, because at the moment, traffickers is the only way of doing it. It's like expecting people who are addicted to drugs to come off the drugs without being able to give them smaller amounts of the same drug, which is something that we can't really do in this country because it's illegal. Although, Heroin is still on the medical register. Your GP can legally prescribe you heroin. Something that's not really talked about very much, but there's one company up in Scotland, I think they're called McFarlane and Son. They have the only contract in the UK with the government to bring heroin into the country legally. But what our drug system ends up doing is, it like when people want to diminish how much they're taking, the only way they could get the real stuff is to go through illegal means, which is just fucking daft. If we could make drugs legal and use the money, the 2 billion we waste every fucking month trying to fight this unwinnable war against drugs, that would smash the gangs, the drug gangs, the county lines gangs would be smashed by the legalization of drugs. Same way, if you made it easier for people to claim asylum here, then you would smash the people smuggling gangs, because they wouldn't be able to bring anyone over, because no one in their right mind would pay to come over here knowing that if they get caught, they're going to be taken back to France, or if they've already applied for asylum here and it's been denied, we will just put them back on the first plane back to the country of their origin, which won't be great for them. At least they'll know that that's going to happen. And these things would have gone through the process. We would have seen, what their story is, what they're running from, with it's valid. And, we could be, if you want to be a little bit mercenary about this, which I don't, to be honest with you, but I'm sure there are some politicians who are like, what's in it for me? Okay, here's what's in it for you. An EU-wide, a European-wide asylum system. And when people apply for asylum, it's a bit like applying for fucking university through UCAS. You have your preferred country and somewhere else. And you have to explain, why do you want to go to Britain? I speak English. Okay, that makes sense. Why do you want to go to Netherlands? I have family in the Netherlands. Okay, that makes sense. But also, what's your profession? What do you do? Oh, well, I'm a doctor. I'm a nurse. I am a dentist. Okay, countries in Europe who has a shortage of doctors? Anyone got a shortage of doctors? Denmark, you just stood up. Okay, well, we've got a doctor and his family and her family. They're going to come over and they're going to work in Denmark. Okay, nicely done. So if you want to be mercenary about it, you can say, well, this is actually going to help the employment all around Europe by saying, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily do it that way myself, because I don't really see why it should be about what's good for the countries that people are going to. But if you can put those two things together, then it's a win-win, isn't it? Smashing the gangs means investment in cross-border intelligence, not just gimmicks like sending people off to Albania if they come here. Yeah, the Tories said it was a deterrent to send people to Rwanda. The deterrent is the channel, mate. Is the channel. That's the deterrent. It was a hell of a deterrent to the Nazis, mate. Never mind a family, a freezing cold, scared, terrified family coming across on a small boat. We need to work with France, Belgium, and Europol. We need to share data, stop the criminals, not the desperate. But the thing is, we take out one people smuggling gang, another one will come and fill the void. It's like trying to arrest drug dealers. You take out a drug dealer, all you do is you open the playing field, 2 more drug dealers to come and fill that void. People aren't going to stop taking drugs. They're not going to stop it. We've been at war with drugs for over 50 years, over half a century. We have been at war with drugs, and the drugs have won every step of the freaking way. The drugs did not stop. People did not say no. It didn't happen. So we make it legal and we set it up properly, and then we pull the rug out from under the gangsters that run these industries. Prostitution, make it legal. Do what they've done in New Zealand. You have brothels which have panic buttons in them that cannot be run by men. They have to be run by women, and the women there who work there are unionized. And that pulls the rug out from under the criminals' feet. If you are a country where gambling is illegal, legalize it. Make it so that you can't advertise it because of gambling problems, gambling addiction. Make sure that you don't have machines that can take £100 a pop to play in the bloody pub, which is insane. But you regulate it, you legalize it, you regulate it. Same with anything that criminals are into. You've got to stop and go, hang on, right? How can we stop the criminals? And thinking that you can lock them all up is a fool's errand. It's never going to happen. Whenever you take out a criminal from any particular criminal enterprise, you just open up an opportunity for someone else to step into that gap, that niche, or niche, as the Americans hilariously say. We need to stop playing to the gallery that the Daily Mail readers aren't going to vote for Starmer. The Daily Mail is not going to endorse Starmer, appeasing them. All it does, and we said this about the attack on trans people, the attack on disabled people, all it does is move the Overton window rightward. Labour should offer a better future, not a slightly less cruel version of the Tories dressed in technocratic language. Real leadership is sticking to values, not chasing headlines, Mr. Starmer. So on that, I just want to talk about something else. I want to talk about Mission Impossible. Bum, 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 bum. So we had a look, didn't we? Mission Impossible, biggest film so far this year. Massive red carpet premiere. Night before last. Tom Cruise, Hayley Atwell, Simon Pegg. It's the big finale, the 8th part in the series. Bum, bum. It started in 1995, so it's been going for 30 years. All with Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, doing his own stunts because the stunt people were unavailable. I don't know. Because that's what he does these days. He does his stunts. There are over 4,700 screens in this country. There's over 800 cinemas. There's over 4,700 screens. I've got a question for you, okay? So, next Friday and Saturday night, so this is the opening weekend, not tonight, next week, right? 23rd, 24th. I want you to guess how many of the potential screenings. So it's a 2-hour, 40-minute film. So let's just say there's 2 potential screenings per screen per night, Friday, Saturday night. So put all that together, you get to about 17,000 potential screenings of this movie. I want you in the chat to guess how many out of those 17,000 potential screenings after 5:30, when people are out of work, in the evening, on a Friday or Saturday night, the opening weekend of the biggest film of the year, I want you to tell me, out of 17,000, how many screens are going to be showing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Is that what it's called? The Final Reckoning. The Final Reckoning in this country, in the entire nation of Britain. How many screens are going to be showing a subtitled version of that film for the death after 5:30 on Friday and Saturday night next week? Go. Guess. 7. No. 12,000. No. 9,000. No. Gina Lefty was closest. But go on. Little Tom Cruise. Cannabis Clinic is doing fantastic. They're making so much money. Very flavorful flowers. All of them, says Trip Chip Davy, all of them. 17,000. How many are showing subtitle screenings for the death? 800. 5. Alvone's closest. Joanna with 0 is the closest so far. Billy Kershaw says 0. Z says 1. That's the closest. That's very close. Oh, Cluster Bungle, you win. Cluster Bungle, you win. 2. Reigate Cinema, which has a screening at 7:30 on the Friday night and another one on the Saturday night. So out of 17,000 potential screenings of this movie, 4 per screen across the United Kingdom, 2 on Friday night, 2 on Saturday night. Out of all of those screenings, 2 of them have got subtitles. It takes a lot for me to really lose my fucking rag with this country, but fuck off. Like, seriously, fuck off. It means that me and my partner can't go and see it. That's it. You know, if you've got a kid who has a friend in school who's deaf or hard of hearing, they can't go and see it. That's not discrimination against deaf people and hard of hearing people, which makes up 10% of the population, by the way. All these cinema owners going, oh, we've got no money. No one's coming to the cinema anymore. I'm like, this is why. This is why. Because it's not just people who are deaf, people who are hard of hearing. It also helps people for whom English isn't a first language. And it also helps people like me with ADHD. Motherfuckers. Two screenings. Biggest film of the year. 17,000 potential screenings of this movie. I mean, they won't be screened 17,000 times. Obviously, that's just how many screens there are in the UK times by 4. That's how I got to the number of potential screenings. But of the screens that it's on, you've probably got about 8,000, something like that, because all the multiplexers will put it on multiple screens. Some multiplexers will just like, that's it for that. You know, the Friday night, it'll just be that on 7 of the screens, and then one of the screens will be something else. Every cinema should have a subtitle screening, damn it. Yeah. Disgusting, but sadly not surprising. That's so wrong, says Richie Goff. That's shockingly bad. Banana says, damn, subtitles should be mandatory. Yes. Yeah. Oh, this isn't just for Mission Impossible. This happens every week. This happened when the new Spider-Man movie came out. And there was one subtitles showing on the Friday night. Like, me and Kat are like, oh, there's a new movie. Oh, there's a new Spider-Man movie out. Oh, it's great. It's going to have Doctor Strange in it. It's going to be going through different multiverses. Okay, cool. Let's go and see this movie. And then we look on the listings, and there's a website called yourlocalcinema.com. We looked it up to find out if there was going to be a screening on the Friday night in this country. Well, actually, no. We started in the city, in Durham, and then we went to the county. Then we went to the whole of the northeast, and then we went to the whole of the United Kingdom, and there was one showing in Plymouth with subtitles. Now, back in the day, there was an excuse. This was the excuse. There was only one print made with subtitles. So you had prints of films that came in a big fuck-off case with 6 or 8 or 10 fucking reels of film that you had to splice together, and that was a bastard to do if you were a projectionist. And these boxes would be sent off to each individual cinema. They cost a lot of money to print, obviously, optically, and there would be one box in the country that would have the subtitled version for the deaf, and it would tour the country. And this was back when a movie would come out in America, and then 6 months later it would come out in the UK, right? So because it was a physical print, they would actually ship the prints over to the UK to use, or ship them around different countries. So you had these like staggered release dates back in the day, back in the 80s. Obviously, technology moved on, and we were able to eventually make things digital. And now it is just a case of pressing the subtitles on button, because the subtitles are there in the metadata of the digital film that's been delivered to the cinema. And I hear them complaining about cinemas closing down, and my heart goes out to them because I fucking love the cinema. Left to my own devices, I will go to the cinema every fucking week of my life. I used to. I can't anymore unless I go on my own and leave my partner at home. So back in the day when there was only one optical print that had subtitles, fair enough, right? That was just the way it was. This shouldn't be the way it is. This should not be the way it is. I find this absolutely disgusting. And yeah, this is the hill I'm prepared to die on. I'm sorry, but this is absolutely ridiculous. Do you know what screenings of Dead Reckoning, the Final Reckoning, do you know this Mission Impossible 8, right? Do you know where you can get a version with subtitles? You know. I know. But that's illegal, isn't it? So let me get this straight. If I want to watch this Hollywood movie on Friday night with my partner, I have to do something illegal in order to watch it. Because we cannot physically do it the legal way. Now, We don't have to. No one's got us over a barrel. It's not like we're having to steal a loaf of bread to stay alive, but what a fucked up system. What a stupid, daffy, fucked up system. It makes no moral sense, makes no economic sense. Just like everything that these fucking bald-shortland motherfuckers do in our lives. It makes no economic sense. It makes no moral sense. Why are you doing it this way? Because it's the way it's always been done. People complain about the subtitles. Yeah, if they don't expect them. Do people complain about the subtitles in a foreign film? Do they go to the cinema and go and sit there watching, I don't know, fucking Parasite, and they're like, oh my god, this has got English subtitles. Oh, I'm going to complain to the manager. Get me the manager in it. There's English subtitles in this South Korean film. I want to just listen to Korean and not understand what they're saying. No one ever complains about subtitles on a foreign language film because they expect them. The only reason why people complain about subtitles on English language films is because they don't expect them. They are unexpected. Oh shit, I didn't know there's a subtitle showing. And also, here's another thing. The people who make the subtitles for the movies can fuck off all the way because I hate the way they do it. They have no idea about comedy timing. Comedy is all about timing, right? And so when you have a subtitle that has the setup and the punchline in the same thing, right? In the same block of text, it's not funny. Timing is everything. So what you do is you split it up. You take the context of the film. You're not AI. You're a human being. Have a look at what these subtitles are doing to this film. And don't ruin your own joke. And make it so the timing is perfect. So it comes up at the bottom of the screen, the setup, and then as they say the punchline, you put that on the screen. That's the way to do it. But they never do. Honestly, so many things. I think we watched Black Mirror last night, and there was a really good joke in it that was spoiled by the subtitles. Because it just didn't work with the timing because you'd read what the joke was before the thing happened that the joke referred to. Because they don't give a fuck. They just make these subtitles. They don't give a fuck. When you do get them. That's why people complain about them. My God, Alex, look at this. Look at this pink super chat. Oh, thank you very much for the mega chat. Thank you so much, Alex. That is really, really incredibly, incredibly kind of you. Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you. Honestly, that's amazing. I will chunder on. My Romanian partner has ILR and 5+ years in the UK. We are not married, but just bought a house. I'm worried about policy changes and advise her to apply for citizenship, but fear it could trigger issues. When do the new 10-year rules come in? I don't know, but I would recommend applying for citizenship now because I really doubt. I don't know for certain. Look into it. And some people in the chat might be able to help you more than I can. And a good person to talk to about this is Cozy Durafel Hill, who might be on the show tonight. So if she is, I'll make a note, Alex. And if you watch the Evening Brew or whatever it's called, the Friday Night Social tonight, Alex Morgan, Romania, citizenship. Okay. Well, done a little big circle around that. Yeah, I've made a note, Alex. Thank you so much for bringing this up. From what I understand is if you have already applied for citizenship, it's going to still be 5 years. It's not like you get to 4.5 years and then suddenly you think you're waiting 6 months, but suddenly you start having to wait for another 5.5 years. So yeah, and as your partner has been here for 5 years already, I think that if you're going to apply for citizenship, now is the best time to do it. And don't forget, we don't have the same kind of citizenship rules that they have in Germany. I know it's not total in Germany, but in some countries you can only be citizens of one country, whereas Britain allows dual citizenship. So your partner will be able to claim keep their Romanian passport, but also keep their UK passport. Another thing you might want to think about doing is getting married. I'm romantic, I know, but even a civil partnership something like that would give a better, more chance of a decent outcome. Well, thank you so much. Subtitles Daily with Graham Hughes. Well, this show's got subtitles, so I don't see why, I mean, the subtitles don't always get things right if anyone's got the subtitles up, but yeah. Nice one, Graham. We'll remind you. Yeah, Billy, please do. Christopher says Mission Impossible equals Skydance equals takeover of Paramount equals CBS editing of 60 Minutes to not offend Trump. Yep. Costs are mind-blowing, Alex, says Mr. Tisk. Yeah, they are. And One Angry Pagan says, I'm politically homeless after resigning me Labour membership. I'm sorry to hear that, One Angry Pagan. I got some good news, though, for you. I'm currently working with people here in Durham who aren't very happy about Refuck taking over our council. And therefore, our unitary authority. And therefore, we're going to be working together. There's a big gang of us who are going to be keeping Refuck on their toes because they haven't got a clue what they're doing. A lot of them have never been in politics before. They don't know how it works. They don't know what the rules are. They don't know. They'll fuck it up. They'll fuck everything up. But not in a way that you might think, because they're going to fuck things up because they won't be able to get anything through. They won't be able to get anything decided because they'll keep fucking up the rules. So I'll give you a example. So when you're on a council and you're deciding about planning permission, you have to come into it with an open mind. If you can't come into it with an open mind, you have to recluse yourself, right? The reason for this is legal objections to what the council has decided. And if you can prove in a court of law that the council voted against you as a farmer putting solar panels in your own field that you own because of something stupid that Richard Tice or Nigel Farage said, you will get the license, even if the council said no. So by saying those stupid things, Tice has made it absolutely obvious that anyone in Lincolnshire who wants to build a solar farm should put the application in right now. Because when his councillors say, no, we're not having this in Lincolnshire, it's like, really? Are we not? Really? Are we not having this? Are you sure about that, Dickie, old boy? Because I think we are. Because it'll go to court, and then it's very easily proved that the Refuck councillors had it in their head that they were going to say no to this individual planning permission for putting solar panels on someone's own property. And they're not asking to put it on someone else's house. It's their field. They can do what the fuck they like with it. And it'll go to court, and the court will side with the farmer. Every time. Every fucking time. Because they've already said that. It is already out in the ether, on the media, in social media. We have seen it. It's too late. We've seen it all. It's too late. Zantesukanemi, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. I watch the Friday night social streams every week, and I just want to say I appreciate the efforts you all put in every week. Oh, thank you very much, Amy. Thank you so much. Next week we're doing it for real. We're actually going to be in a pub in Brighton. Tansky should be there. We should have Mike Dix. We should have Josh Russell from the Movement Forward. Maybe we'll have Tom from Gomez. I'm not sure. We haven't confirmed him yet. But we're going to try and get a gang of us together in an actual pub, in real life, around the table, to have a chat, have a bit of banter, and obviously your messages will be coming in as we do it. Hopefully the tech will work. We'll give it a go. We'll give it a red hot go, but I'm really, really excited about it. Tim Ballum, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. If you have dual citizenship, it can be revoked under international law. You can't make someone stateless. Yes, that's true. That is a danger of having dual citizenship, and it's one of the reasons why Shamima Begum, the young woman who was trafficked over to fight with ISIS, isn't being allowed back in the UK because they're saying that she has citizenship of Bangladesh, and therefore they've revoked her British citizenship, even though she was born here and from here. We said, no, she's actually Bangladeshi, which is a really shit thing to do. Meanwhile, the president of Syria has just done a deal with Donald Trump, and he fought for ISIS for 10 years. True story. Mad story, but true story. I don't want to say terrorism works, but hey, he's now president of Syria. And Alistair, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. A wee bit for the work you do, Graham. Oh, thank you very much, Alistair. That's very kind of you. Revoked very rarely, says Mr. Tisk. Yeah, it is quite rare that happens, but it's one of the reasons why sometimes it's best just to have one passport, so they can't force you to go to the other place where you've got a passport from. But that it's unlikely unless they have some big reason like terrorism or something. It's something that can be challenged in courts if it's not something absolutely outrageous. What the Labour membership now? Any stats, Graham? I don't know, Alistair. I'm going to write that down because it's something that we should probably discuss. Labour membership stats. The thing is, they're under no obligation to publish these things, I don't think. And essentially, it's one of those things that they'll publish if they're doing well. It's like a footy team that'll only tell you if they've won. Everyone look away, turn around if they lose. But when they win, it's like, yeah, we won that one. The same people who are condemning Begum have been crying to get that girl back who's locked up in Georgia for trafficking. Yeah. Begum was trafficked. She was trafficked as a child. She was groomed as a child by terrorists. And yeah, it's great. It's disgraceful. But Graham, you could say the same about Nelson Mandela. Properly, yeah, but Nelson Mandela, I know he was put in jail for. I don't think it was terrorism. I think it was sabotage. I might be wrong. And they claimed he was trying to blow up a train or something, but the reality was a little bit different. He was a very, very intelligent lawyer and speaker for the ANC back in the day. Yeah, something we should get into. Freaking white Afrikaans fleeing South Africa. Of the 5,000 murders that took place in the first 3 months of this year, one of them was they don't collect statistics on the race of the people who were murdered. But like one of them was a farmer. One of them out of 5,000 murders, one was a farmer, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's genocide!" Yeah. The only refugees that are allowed in America now, white ones. Orvi, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. A Pakistani friend of mine just said he's going to the States next month. I told him he's insane, but apparently he has to go. I would strongly recommend wiping their phone. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. I don't really appreciate. Well, I appreciate you saying that, but I mean, I don't like that line because. I get where you're getting at, but there are different types of terrorists, and I would say someone who terrorizes the general population, I can't see an excuse for that, no matter what. And maybe, yeah, that's white privilege, maybe that's middle class, middle aged, male, stinks of privilege to say, well, I don't see why they need to do this. But attacking the military, attacking the police, attacking the security services of your country is one thing. But murdering innocent civilians, I don't think is ever justified. It is like seeing someone on the other side of the road being involved in an altercation. Someone on the other side of the road has their purse snatched from them, and the person, is running away. And you could give chase, but instead, what you do is you punch the person on your side of the road. Okay. It might be the person who stole the purse. It might be their mum. Maybe. You don't know. It might be the person that you want to get, or someone that they care about. Or it might not be someone that you care about. In which case, you're not winning people over to your cause. And I think that's really important, the way we look at life and understanding that. And we're going to really get into this, actually, next Tuesday at 1:00. I'm going to be doing a live, exclusive, 1 hour talk about Andor, the Star Wars show, Andor, with Abby Heffer, who is a PhD in authoritarian studies. She's a political scientist. and she's going to be talking about the parallels between Andor and real life and real rebellions and how they go down, and she's got a lot of interesting things to say on that. But if there are peaceful protesters who end up attacking the police because the police attack them, I think that's justified. But when it's people going around murdering civilians to make their point, I think as soon as you drag innocent people into your fight, that's when it goes horribly wrong. But then we enter the morally grey area of, do we set things up knowing that the authoritarian system will clamp down harder on people and civilians will die as a result of the empire or the government of that country clamping down even harder after your rebellion, after you've blown up a munitions dump, or you've blown up you've done some kind of like statement that has attacked the security forces, and you know it's going to result in civilian deaths down the road, but you're not going to do them. But then here's the thing: those civilian deaths will lead to more and more people rising up against the empire. Maybe it will make a flame, a fire so bright that it will attract the attention of the world or the universe. So yeah, it's a prickly situation. I think that if you are a terrorist, then you're not a freedom fighter, and if you're a freedom fighter, you're not a terrorist. I don't think the two terms should be interchangeable. And I know what I know what is meant by that, because what will happen is the people on the side of the authoritarians, the people on the side of the Karens of this world, the J.K. Rowlings, they will claim that anyone who says anything against them or stands up against them is a terrorist. They'll just call them a terrorist even though they're not. My point isn't that, people don't do that. Obviously, clearly they do. My point is that they're not. If they're not killing civilians, they're not a terrorist, full stop. If they are killing civilians, they're not freedom fighters, as far as I'm concerned. Will you fuckers do a teleconference call with you to discuss policy and their positions? No. I doubt it. Richie Goff. One of the reasons I left South Africa was because of crime. House broken into 3 times, car stolen, attempted stolen car, attempted hijacking. I didn't feel safe anymore. I was sick of carrying a pew-pew. That's fair enough, Richie Goff, that you didn't feel safe there. And I do think that this is a issue in South Africa in particular. And we could do a whole show talking about South Africa and where it is right now. It'd be really interesting to get your take on it. But from my albeit limited experience of the country and traveling through there and knowing people from South Africa, one of the big problems I think they face at the moment is the ANC is just too big. I mean, it's been in charge now for 30 years, and it's the party that the black majority of the country vote for, and they're voting for it because it's the black party rather than voting for it because of its economic outlook. There's like a Boer party that represents Boers, and I think that is wrong. I think that there shouldn't be parties that overwhelmingly represent one group in South Africa, one racial group in South Africa or another. I don't think there should be a Jewish party or a Christian party or a Muslim party in this country. I just don't think that that's the way it should be done. And I kind of expected by now that the ANC would have split in two, and it would have made a left-wing faction and a right-wing faction, and they'll leave that's what the options are. But that hasn't seemed to have happened. I might be wrong because I haven't really looked at it in the last few years. But Julius Malema, he's a fucking gobshite, and he's like this real firebrand who goes around riling people up. And I would say he is racist. I would say he's racist against white people in South Africa. And one of the issues that they have at the moment is there's a song they used to sing, the ANC. It was like their anthem, and the first lines are like, kill the Boer, kill the farmer. Okay, when you're fighting against the Boers, when you're fighting against oppression, systematic oppression, when you're fighting against apartheid, I can just squint my eyes and go, okay, I get what you're trying to do there, yeah, whatever. But now, after 30 years of peace, no, That shouldn't be the case. They shouldn't really be singing that, I don't think. But then again, maybe this smacks of white privilege and middle class, middle aged male bullshit. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't sit easy with me that that's the lines of the song that group sing, and they're the only sort of major opposition to the ANC at the moment, and they're fanatics. Well, that's at least the way they come across to me. Spitz, they voted for 14 years of Tories. Anything can happen here. Yeah, missed a chunk of the stream as system on phone, all blowing up in the workplace. Apparently, key people sick at the same time. There's a lot to worry about. Yeah. Paraphrasing Stuart Lee, voting reform is like sleeping in your self-shitted bed. Graham in Brighton next Friday night. Yes, Alex. Next Friday night, we're going to be in Brighton. Keep an eye on the channel because I'll let you know where we're going to be. I don't know if we've got a venue yet because obviously I don't live in Brighton. Can't set it up. But where we're looking at, it's just like a little small pub. We should be able to go upstairs there. It's not going to be like a lot of people. We're not going to have like an audience like we did in Liverpool when we did the live shows in Liverpool with Phil and Mike Galsworthy and Marina and Supertansky and that. We're gonna be upstairs, and I'll let you know where we're gonna be. I'll let you know if you want to come along. But the UK national anthem that has lines that advocates hatred of Scots. Should that not be changed? Yes, absolutely, Dave. Well, wasn't there Popish Tricks? Wasn't there Popish Tricks? It was a dig at the Catholics in God Save the King. So they changed the lyrics to knavish tricks. Yeah. But if there's a dig to the Scots in there, then definitely. Well, I don't understand why there's a dig at the Scots, because we asked the King of Scotland to come and be our king in England. And they unified the crowns. But it wasn't an English king going to Scotland, it was a Scottish king coming to England. And our common, I know there's a couple of stages removed along the way, and cousins and things like that, but generally speaking, we trace our lineage of our royal family today to James I of England, who was James VI of Scotland. And then James II of England, who was James VII of Scotland. I've never been to Brighton, but always wanted to visit. It's genuinely cheaper for me to fly abroad and then go down south. Wow, that's mad, Liam. That happened. I got a ticket, so I'm gonna go down to Brighton and then I'm going to go up to Liverpool afterwards to see my family in Liverpool. The ticket down to Brighton from Durham was over £100. The ticket from London to Liverpool was 20 quid. Hate on national anthem. Asking God to look after one family. It's not even one family. It's one bloke from one family. I know, it's fucking mad, isn't it? God save. Didn't do a very good job of saving the Queen, did he? Just carked it. And it's so somber. It sounds like a funeral dirge. It sounds like the theme tune from Coronation Street. You hear the theme tune to Coronation Street and you're not in for a good time, is it? It's so depressing. It's such a dirge. Especially compared to like The Archers, which you always just imagine someone posh skipping through a field, possibly of wheat. Or even like EastEnders, which, I mean, it's a depressing show. I mean, they're a show that thinks that's what everyone wants to watch on Christmas Day is Arthur Fowler crying himself to death in a jail cell, or someone falling off a roof of a building and dying, or just sitting on the toilet and crying, or sitting in the bath and crying, or sitting at the around the Christmas dinner table and crying. But at least the tune is like, I mean, that's quite cool. It's quite cool. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't sound like a funeral dirge necessarily, but oh my God, Coronation Street. I just hear the strain to that music. Oh, who's died? I hope they were loved. I hope they died knowing that people loved them. Billy Connolly joke there. When one of my cousins were very small, she used to burst into tears whenever the Coronation Street theme came. I'm not surprised. It's so depressing. Brett says, refux boat policy is so great. Macron has said how much about it. Could you imagine Macron pissing himself in Nigel Farage's face? Yeah, indeed. Skipping through fields. Theresa May hasn't come back actually. The majority of the problem is we don't teach critical thinking in schools. We hear that a lot. And I think that's very true. I think you're right. Like, we do need to teach critical thinking in schools because all the information's there. What's the point of just remembering stuff? All exams are memory tests. Are you good at memorizing stuff? I cheated in my A levels. I fucking way cheated in my A levels because I used mnemonics to remember everything that I needed to know or needed to write for the exam. I'm not using the word know because I didn't necessarily know the stuff. I didn't necessarily learn it. I just remembered it. It's different. And so all I did was make massive lists of like, you know, the UK parliamentary system is flexible, unitary, monarchical, parliamentary, and partisan. You know, and I'll remember that because I remember the letters that started it. It was just a list. I didn't know what those things meant, but it sounded good when I put it in a fucking sentence. I'll tell you that for nothing. And I'm just like, how is that how we gauge the intelligence of people? I got an A in my A-level politics, right? I didn't deserve that A. I totally did not deserve that A because I wasn't nearly as smart as Andy in my year, who also got an A, who later on we found he got something like 94% in the exam. I got 71%. Right? That was my score. We both got an A. I'm like, what? Me? How? And it was because I just memorized shit. I didn't know it. I didn't fucking know it. Exams are bullshit. Exams really piss me off. They make people really, really stressed. They don't give a good example, a good snapshot of the progress a child has made in learning. It's just like the shit lazy way of doing it. The teachers know. The teachers know how much the kid understands stuff and how much they apply themselves. Coursework. But the thing is now, like anything you need to remember is on the tips of your fingers, on your phone. You can just look it up. You can look up anything you want on your phone. So we don't need to remember facts and figures and dates of battles and the parliamentary system is, we don't need to bicameral. It's a bicameral system. I don't know what does that mean that there's two camels? Is a Bactrian camel? Is that a bicameral if it's unicameral, is that got one hump? And if it's bicameral, it's got two. Is that the way it works? I don't know. I'm being facetious. I do know now, but back in the day, I hate exams. I think they're a shit way of learning, and just remembering stuff is stupid in a world where all the information's there at your fingertips. But there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of disinformation on the internet. So yeah, teach kids how to think critically. Look at a bit of information. Is this true? Here's how we suss out if this is true. And do you know what? It's fun. It's fun. I would much rather learn my detective skills, hone my detective skills, get out my little magnifying glass, put it up to my eye, and do my own investigation into, is this true? Is my northern bullshit detector ringing? Ooh, let's have a look at this. Let's do a little bit more information about this thing that someone's told me on the internet. Is it on the BBC website, the CNN website, the Sky News website? Is it on the Guardian website? Is it? No? Okay, well, there's probably a reason for that. And the reason isn't necessarily that it's untrue. It's just unlikely to be true, okay? Because the BBC have looked at it and gone, if we report that, we'll get sued because it's not true. So you got to take things with a pinch of salt. And then you got to look at things that are just opinion. So the newspapers, which I'm going to come to in a moment, just opinion. It's just people's opinions, right? It's their opinions of what happened yesterday. That's what the newspapers are. They're opinion rags, And being able to have a look at these papers, this is something they should do in schools. They should look through the papers and go, point out all the news stories that are probably bullshit. But look at the headline. Is there something in inverted commas? Then that's just, something that someone said. It's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily the truth, But someone said that Trump is putting up 1984 posters of himself for his military parade. I laugh because otherwise I'll cry. Nick and Diff, thanks very much for that. Let's go on the internet and learn. Trump says that. He's in my front room too much. Others in his circle, Phil and Tan. Am I? I am stupid, but I have memory like a sieve. On bad day, I have a thing with round things in. Exams that are just memory tests don't work for me. Yeah, Anne, exactly the same. Exactly the same. I think memory tests are stupid. I don't understand why this is the system that we still have. Exams were invented in Cambridge University in like the 1700s, and it was just a way of testing young students all at once. It just made the person who was teaching them's life a little bit easier. But now we have like these standardized tests, and everyone's different. You know, everyone learns at different rates, and it's just the amount of stress, the amount of mental duress that you put kids under, especially when they're doing the GCSEs or the A levels, are even worse. It's out of order. What angry pagan? What did you know? There's a population of Bactrian camels living in Siberia. Yes, I did, because they're from Mongolia, aren't they? Along with other non-native species, they were added by a Russian conservationist who wanted to revive the steppe. Going well too. Yeah, Bactrian camels are Asian, and dromedary camels with the one hump, they're African. Generally speaking, obviously things moving around. You know, you get these camels, they've smuggled themselves onto boats and gone to all kinds of crazy places. One of which is Australia. This is really fascinating. They reckon there's like 1 million wild camels running around the Australian outback. The reason being is, back in the day, they didn't have cars to get across the desert. They didn't have trains to get across the desert. So they used camels. They used camels to build the rabbit-proof fence, the fox-proof fence, the dingo-proof fence, and also to build the train lines. And then once the train lines were built, and once all the troops had gone up to Darwin to go and fight in World War One or whatever, and they didn't need the camels anymore, they set them out into the desert thinking they would die. Thinking that these animals that are very at home in the desert would die in the desert. Camels didn't die in the desert. They absolutely flourished. And as the law of unforeseen circumstances, the camels are doing rather well. And now they have to go and shoot them. They shoot them from fucking helicopters because there's too many of them, and they're eating everything in the desert. Don't know what there is to eat in the desert, but the camels seem to know. Christopher, I had to give away a % of my grade in return for being able to type my exam. I was always losing points because no one could read my writing. Yeah, again, Christopher, the exam thing is just so shit. It's just so shit. And like, it's one day as well. It's a snapshot of one day. And what if someone that you love had died that week? What if you're feeling ill? What if you're not on top of your game? What if you didn't get any sleep the night before? It's just there's so many variables. Anyway, exams, bad idea. Do you know what's a good idea, though? Talking about the papers. Making fun of the papers. That's always fun, isn't it? The Daily Express, first of all. We've got Charles on the front cover because we need him on the front cover of every newspaper, or at least someone from the family, because we're obsessed. We're absolutely obsessed with having people from the family on the front cover of our newspapers every freaking day. Because we're massive weirdos. We're just absolutely massive freaking weirdos about this. Mum deserves peace of mind in right to die fight. This is the daughter of Esther Ranson. Has urged MPs to give her mum peace of mind and back assisted dying today. It doesn't look like the final vote's going to be today, by the way. It might be... oh, hello. I can't go back. Why are you not going to let me go back? What is even happening right now? Ooh, that's not good. Back. Ooh, something's happening here today. A show of strength from the Boys Brigade. I don't know why this is not displaying like what it's supposed to be displaying as. This is kind of annoying me. What has happened? What has happened here? Turn that off. Turn that back on again. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I think the problem is that I, in my infinite wisdom, I've messed this up. Oh, don't like that. Don't like that. Don't like that. Anyway, okay. And then this horrible story in the Mirror. A smirk but no reply. This is about Christian Bruckner, who's accused, well, might have murdered Madeleine McCann, but we don't know. Also up there we got Mel B from the Spice Girls, who was called Scary Spice for some reason. I don't know. I always thought that was a bit racist. But she looks great. She looks great. And then we got the Daily Telegraph. This was the Ukrainian national who tried to firebomb Keir Starmer's house. Do we really need a naked gardening day? Whatever. Children to be taught to show some grit. Pupils need more robust mental health to cope with life's up and down, says ministers. Fuck off. Life's hard enough. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to us? What? Why? I don't know. I don't know. And then we've got Her Maj, Yappy and Glorious from the Star here. I don't know what's happened to my image. Why has it gone mad? Why has my picture gone mad? Oh, okay. Sorry about this. There should be a white frame behind the image here, and there isn't. Oh well, whatever. I don't know what's gone wrong here. Oh well. Imagine Yappy and Glorious. Fergie ghost claims. Here we go. Queen Elizabeth talks to Fergie from beyond the grave through her corgis. All right, mate. Jesus. And then we've got the Times here. Oh, no, we don't. We've got an advert for fucking solar panels or something. The Times on the left. Kremlin and Kyiv in first direct negotiations for 3 years at the top there. We've also got fat jabs and new restaurant menus, and then we've got how Tom Cruise saved Hollywood. I don't know if that's the same story. And then we've got talks with up to 9 nations for asylum deal, push for return hubs after rejection by Albania. Yeah, so Keir Starmer's asking Serbia and North Macedonia, and I think Montenegro. Send people there. Then we've got the Guardian here. Thames Water to be blocked from paying bonuses out. Oh, this is a mad story on so many levels. Ministers to stop senior staff from receiving handouts from emergency funds. Just a crazy situation in which the government gave these bastards who run these water companies. Thames Water was given £3 billion, £3 billion, and out of that money that is supposed to stave off bankruptcy, they're giving their bosses like massive bonuses. I mean, to say that we live in the what do they say? We live in the bad future. The bad future. You know, this is the bad timeline. Yeah, this is what they mean. This is what they mean. Anyway, so there you go. You got Thames Water to be blocked from paying bonuses out. Zelensky sends teams for talks to Istanbul, and then we've got Scorn in the USA. Bruce Springsteen has made a series of speeches castigating President Trump for being an all-round shite of the gob, or gobshite, as we often like to call him. And then we've got 6 children in Gaza face grim lottery. This is just horrific. Children with leukemia, children who are dying in Gaza while the world seems to look the other way. Moving on. The Mail. I was still a virgin at 51. Okay, cool. And then Starmer left squirming by Albania farce. Plan to send asylum seekers to Balkans implodes on live TV. And then we have the real inside story of how Brooklyn and Nicola bonded with Sussexes over dinner. So they don't actually have a picture of the royals on the front cover of the newspaper, but there is a reference to the royal, a royal reference there, because we are absolutely freaking obsessed. Then over here on the iPaper, we've got UK scrambles for new migrant deal in Balkans after Albania snub. Starmer is to begin talks with third countries, including Bosnia, Serbia, and North Macedonia, to act as return hubs to take asylum seekers from the UK. No, bad idea. Bad idea. And there's a great little bit of an opinion here on page 13. Trump is getting fed up with Putin. Not that Russia's leader cares. There you go. And someone moaning about Gary Lineker. And then we've got Tories. Tom's impossible to resist, even if the script's a bit silly, talking about Mission Impossible. What you have to know about Mission Impossible movies is they're a bit like Singing in the Rain. What? Well, you see, the film Singing in the Rain with Gene Hackman. They wrote the songs. They wrote the songs, and then they wrote the musical around the songs. That's why you've got good morning, what a beautiful day. It's got nothing to do with the plot of the film whatsoever. They wrote the songs, and then they wrote the film around the songs. Like Mamma Mia. They had the songs from ABBA, and they wrote the film around the songs. So with the Mission Impossible movies, they sit down and they go, right, Tom, what stunts do you want to do? And he goes, I want to be on the wing of a biplane flying upside down and into a ditch. And like, okay, I want to go off a cliff on a motorbike and then come down on a parachute and land on a train. And okay, we'll do that. And then I want to do, and he has a list of all like the stunts that he wants to do, or the team they put together the ideas for the stunts, and then they put a little bit of plot together to allow those stunts to happen. So it's a bit of a weird way of making a movie, and it's very, very silly. It's very silly, but it's entertaining. I can't argue with that. My feelings about Tom Cruise and his Scientologist beliefs aside, they are rather entertaining. Anyway, 9.5 billion, the staggering cost of benefit frauds and claim clangers. More than 9 billion of taxpayers' money has been overpaid in benefits, mostly through fraud, official figures show. Now, they're saying benefits. I bet you this includes pensions. If it does include pensions, then fuck off. I mean, that's, first of all, they say that the criminals pocketed 6.5 billion more than they should have. I mean, that they may not be criminals. They may just have made a mistake. But here's the thing. People wrongly claimed 1.9 billion more than they should, while government errors cost another 9 billion. Can we have the number? Please, for the amount that wasn't claimed by people who could claim? Because that's a lot more than 9.5 billion. I'm going to tell you that now. There are so many people who could claim dole, but just don't bother because they're living at the parents, and it's a big hassle, and they're getting on with whatever they're doing, and they don't want to get the dole because you have to spend 35 hours a week looking for jobs. And they don't necessarily want a job at that time, and there's a lot of people who could be claiming money off the government who don't. There's a lot of people who don't know that they can claim money off the government. The winter fuel payment. Loads of people didn't know you could claim it. They do now. Financial Times here. Lost millions arms deals that cost Kyiv. Ukraine has been left exposed to the ruthless vagaries of international weapons markets as it struggles against the Russian war machine and its superior ammunition production. The Financial Times investigation has revealed. Financial Times really, it's the only decent paper, honestly. It's the only paper that actually bothers to do any investigations these days. Based on leaks, Ukrainian state documents, court filings, dozens of interviews with procurement officials, weapons dealers, and detectives, the probe uncovers how hundreds of millions of dollars that Kyiv paid to foreign arms intermediaries has gone to waste over the past 3 years of war. The middlemen. It's gone to the middlemen. You know? I'm not saying that the the Gogolfresians had the right idea, but they did get rid of all the middlemen, didn't they? They got rid of the useless third of society. But then everyone caught a virus from an improperly cleaned telephone. So yeah, it didn't work out for them in the end. But yeah, this is one of the reasons why government procurement and these big infrastructure projects that you have, not just in the UK, but around the world, while the costs just go up and up and up because there's contractors of contractors, and there's middlemen who make a phone call, think they're working, you know, they put something together, and then they're like, right, I want shitloads of money for this. And it's a shit system. It's just a shit system. And I think that Europe should get together and make sure that Ukraine gets the arms it needs at the price it should pay. State intervention to make sure that it gets that. Then again, I think that we should just fucking declare war on Russia and be done with it. Fuck 'em. Call his bluff. That's what I say. Back to the Financial Times. Economy registers fastest growth in a year as Trump tariff impacts loom. First quarter expansion was at 7%, 0.7%, 0.1% more than they thought it was going to be. It's a rare fillip for Labour. Services drive rebound and economic economists even are cautious. Caution. There's a really good thing on the side here where it's just like briefing. It just tells you all the stuff that's going on at the moment. One of the stories there is Apple is under attack. Donald Trump has hit out at the tech group's plans to produce more iPhones in India to avoid US tariffs on Chinese-made goods. Well, that backfired, didn't it? Anyway, so back here. I do want to go and see Mission Impossible, despite the fact that they don't cater for people who are deaf. Obviously, you can't go to see it on the opening weekend because of discrimination, because of DEI. Yeah, we don't want equity. We don't want inclusion, equality, diversity. It's all woke. All these old people who don't go to the cinema. They're stopping us from going to the cinema because if they put subtitles on, it'd be woke. Not all boomers, by the way. Not all boomers. But make that very clear. Not all boomers. It's all good. Joanna, ignore that brain. Listen to mine. It says listen to music and be happier. Oh. Yeah, music's really good. The new song by Wolf Alice, which came out at 6:30 yesterday, it's absolutely fucking bonkers. It's got a very, very catchy chorus, though, that I cannot get out of my head. Then again, I'd much rather have Wolf Alice as an earworm than, Bloom Baby Bloom. Maybe they could do like a mashup with Burn Baby Burn by Ash. That'd be quite cool. Would that be an Ash up? You need to check Texas law to ban transmate. Was circulating late last night. They're hoping it turns a purple state blue. Jesus Christ. The war on trans people is just asymmetrical warfare like you would not believe. The most powerful and the richest people in the world coming after a tiny, tiny minority that can't defend itself. One of the reasons why we've got to fight back. We have got to fight back. And Phillips, capitals, not all boomers. I know, I said not all boomers. This boomer wouldn't have a problem with subtitles. I can read and everything. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if there were subtitles at the cinema, people over the age of 35 would go to the cinema more. Because as you get older, your hearing loss increases. And so, just naturally, you'll want to have subtitles so you don't miss stuff that people are saying in the movie. And when you're at the cinema, you can't rewind the movie to re-listen to what you just missed. Put fucking subtitles on all movies and then people expect them. Can't just, it's like a smoking ban. The smoking ban wouldn't have worked if it was voluntary, which it was for a while. And people would go into they will walk into a pub with a group of mates and one of them would smoke. And they go, we can't stay here because I can't smoke. And so you go to another pub across the road where they did smoke. So the pubs that did the right thing will be discriminated against, which isn't the right thing to do. It's just not. Is that avoid Wolf Alice or seek out? Oh, no, definitely don't avoid Wolf Alice. Wolf Alice is one of the best British bands of the last 10 years. Fucking brilliant. No, absolutely do not avoid Wolf Alice. Go indulge in Wolf Alice. They've got a new album coming out this summer, and they've just dropped their latest single from it, which is funny because about a month ago I was literally having a conversation in which I was saying, where's Wolf Alice gone? They haven't done anything for ages since Blue Weekend. They've not done anything. Can we have some more Wolf Alice in my life, please? I only pirate film with subtitles. Says Jesus Christ. Well, I made allusions to that earlier, didn't I? Chris Dimitus, what's that? And yeah, to get more people at the cinema, and also surveys of watching TV patterns from Netflix. I think it was Netflix. Showed that young people watch TV with subtitles just on all the time. Like I always used to. Before I got with Kat, I used to watch stuff with subtitles. And I sometimes watched films at double speed with subtitles, so I could just get them over in an hour. If I was busy and I didn't want to watch a movie for fun. I wanted to watch a movie because I wanted to have watched it. There's some movies that you should watch, but you don't really want to watch. Yeah. bit like that. Are they as good as Black Lace? Asked Jesus H. Rice. No. No one could possibly be as good as Black Lace. Did they sing Agadugu? Was that Black Lace? Not to be confused with Kajagoogoo, who were a band. The 80s were a wild time. Did Black Lace do the... Did they do the Hokey Cokey? No, it wasn't the Hokey Cokey. It was something like that, though, wasn't it? Survey says, executives are stupid, says Amy. Yeah, but shit floats. We need subtitles for movies now because the music voice channels are wildly offset. Amy, you are absolutely right, especially Christopher Nolan movies where everyone mumbles and the soundtrack is like booming. I can't blame Graham, though. He's a busy badger. Oh, sorry, yes. Oh, sorry, One Angry Pagan. Sorry, yeah. I'll do something similar with Graham. I'm still waiting on him. I'm sorry. I don't get a minute. Honestly, I wake up at usually about 6:30 each morning, and I start work, and I'm going till about midnight. And I know that I'll take time out. Well, do I? I don't know. Even when I'm trying to watch stuff, even when I'm trying to watch Andor or a movie or something like that, I'm on my phone working, doing stuff, because reading the news is working now, isn't it? Jesus Christ. But yeah, it does. It does take up a lot of my time, this channel, I've got to say. But it's okay. It's fine. It's cool. I got stuff to edit. Stuff to edit for other people as well. Stuff to produce for other people. At the goodness of my own heart, if I was evil and I was making stuff for the right wing, I would be so loaded right now. You would not believe how much money I have. But I've got enough. I got enough thanks to you. And thanks to you, we get around the algorithm, the dreaded algorithm, which we can kind of circumvent by you giving us a like here. But I don't think this channel is going to grow very much. I think the people that we've got at the moment are the people that we're going to keep. And we might incrementally get a few hundred here and there of more subscribers. But because of the way I put out videos, yes, it means that I'm not maximizing my potential reach. But at the same time, here's the thing, right? The algorithm works in this way. If you put a video on YouTube or on TikTok, the algorithm will decide whether to show it to lots of people or not. So I've put the same amount of effort, the same amount of work, the same amount of hours into a video 1 week and it'll get 500,000 views. You put the same amount into another video, but that uses certain words that the algorithm doesn't like, and you get 500 views. Now, if you're relying on your income for those views to come in, you can't make the videos that you want to make. You can't make the videos where you call Nigel Farage a frog-faced motherfucker, because you're not free to do that. Now, because you fund me to make this channel and to make the content on this channel, I'm not beholden to the vagaries of the YouTube or the TikTok algorithm. I can just say what the fuck I like. So you give me the freedom to do that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you can join the channel, if you're able to, it really, really helps to know that we have a number of people who are members of the channel. Also, there's a link in the description if you want to go onto Patreon instead. If you just want to give a direct donation, you can use PayPal. It's Graham David Hughes. Set it to friends and family, and then you don't have to pay any fees out to Peter Thiel and Musk and whoever else is fucking involved in PayPal. There is no moral way of transferring money on the internet without it going to someone who is fucking evil. But that's just the way it is. But yeah, genuinely thank you for freeing me from the algorithm, because I would hate to have to make videos each week where I didn't know whether they're going to make me 500 quid or nothing at all, literally £0, because YouTube decides that it doesn't like it, it demonetizes it, or it just doesn't show it to people. Like, people don't get it on the recommended thing, they don't get it on your view feed. And so that is something that I'm really, really, really appreciative of. So thank you so much. And something else I'd be appreciative of you is if you join me at 1 o'clock today, where me and Phil Morehouse, of a different bias, disgruntled Labour members, well, sorry, he's a former member now, he's left, like One Angry Pagan, Super Tansky. We will be talking about Labour's fucking stupid words about immigration and about a nation of strangers and how much damage this is doing to Labour's brand. I mean, this to me is like Coca-Cola deciding to literally put shit in their cans and then still try and sell Coca-Cola to people who love Coca-Cola. Not going to happen. Oh, Jeremy Harris has just joined the channel. Welcome to the channel. You, Jeremy, are awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being awesome. Right, time for me to go. Back at 1 o'clock and then 9:30 tonight, Friday Night Social. Don't miss it. Thank you very much for the chat. Thank you very much for the super chats. That's very, 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 very kind of you. And especially Alex Morgan, mate, for that mega chat. Really, really appreciate it. I'll be back, like I say, at 1 o'clock and 9:30 tonight. And until then, I hope to see you again. I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.